Are we recording? Fantastic. Oh, hold on. Gavel. Good afternoon, everyone. You heard the gavel. All right. It's 2 p.m. on Tuesday, May 26, 2026. I'm calling to order the meeting of the Santa Clara County Human Trafficking Commission. Turning to our clerk, please call the roll to establish the presence of a quorum.
Thank you. With your patience and understanding, Commissioner Silver.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Burchard. Absent. Alternate Commissioner Villa.
Here.
Thank you. Present. Commissioner Little. Absent. Alternate Commissioner Cisneros Jones.
Here.
Thank you. Present. Commissioner Staff. Present. Thank you. Commissioner Oliver. Absent. Commissioner Spears. Absent. Alternate Commissioner Dwyer. Absent. Commissioner Lagergren.
Here.
Present. Thank you. And Commissioner Flores. Present. Thank you. Commissioner Silvertobe is absent. Commissioner Denoa. Present. Thank you. Commissioner Doan.
Present.
Present. Thank you. Commissioner Collins. Absent. Alternate Commissioner Martinez.
Here.
Present. Thank you. And Commissioner Gilmore.
Here.
Present. Thank you. Commissioner Green.
Here.
Present. Thank you. Commissioner Moreno.
Here.
Present. Thank you. Commissioner Yu is absent. Alternate Commissioner Cermeño.
Here.
Present. Thank you. Commissioner Arenas.
Here.
Present. Thank you. Commissioner Johnson is absent. And alternate Commissioner Doty.
Present.
Thank you. And co-chairperson Rosen.
Here.
Present, thank you. And Chairperson Jung.
I am here.
Thank you. And with that, you have a quorum.
Fantastic. Thank you, commissioners, for joining us today. Thank you to all the staff present in the chambers to provide presentations. Just a friendly reminder that this meeting is being webcasted, so please speak into your microphone with the red light on, or else the telecast is not going to pick up on your vote or your feedback. So at this time, the first item on the agenda is public comment. This item is reserved for persons who wish to address the committee on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the committee that is not on the agenda. I'm going to turn to our clerk to see if there are members of the public who wish to address the committee on a non-agendized item.
I do have one request on Zoom.
One request on Zoom. I'm going to give them 2 minutes, and we'll close off the queue as soon as the first speaker starts speaking.
Very good. Our speaker is Ben Z. We'll open your microphone for 2 minutes. You may begin. Pause for just a moment. We're not hearing that audio in chambers. If I can ask TSS to adjust. And give that a try again. Benzie, try your comments again. And they're working on it in the back. Apologies for the delay. Would you like to come back after the consent calendar?
Are there any other speakers who have signed up since then? No? Okay. So due to technical difficulties, we are going to move public comment until after consent calendar and give it another try.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So now the next item on the agenda is approval of the consent calendar, and this is also a time for any changes to the agenda made by members of the committee. So I'm going to turn to my co-chair, Jeff Rosen, and Captain Doty sitting in for Sheriff Johnson, my other co-chair today, see if there's any items you'd like to make changes to the agenda for, and of course, it's open to all commission members.
No changes.
No changes.
Great. Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar and agenda as is?
So moved.
Fantastic. That was a motion by Co-Chair Rosen, and second was Councilmember Dwan. Thank you. And for a large body, we're going to take a audible vote. Did I call it the right thing? Looking to the lawyers.
I think we often refer to it as a choral vote.
Choral.
As in like choir.
Choral.
Choral.
Great. So we're going to take a choral vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Fantastic. Motion passes. Consent calendar and agenda is approved as is. And I'm going to turn back now to our public comment to see if our speaker is able to join us.
Our speaker is no longer in the webinar, so at this point, we have no request to speak.
Okay, we are moving past public comment at this time. And then our next item on the agenda is our reports. So up first is receive report from the Office of the District Attorney relating to lessons learned from Super Bowl and preparation for the 2026 FIFA World Cup games. I'll turn it over to the Office of the District Attorney.
Great, thank you. Let me pull up a quick slide deck here.
That's Lieutenant Josh Singleton from the DA's office.
Thanks. While I pull this up, Josh Singleton, a lieutenant with the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office, and currently oversee the Santa Clara County Human Trafficking Task Force.
To the members of the commission visiting board chambers, if you hit the input button on the screen right in front of you, that will change your screen visibility to the presentation.
Okay, great. So provide an update as to the Super Bowl and then the upcoming FIFA World Cup from the Santa Clara County Human Trafficking Task Force. So as we presented before, we had set up a regional approach to human trafficking for the sporting events coming to our region in 2026. We know that many of our victims and survivors of trafficking are moved from one geographical location to another, as well as our suspects who are, are traffickers. So the regional approach that we set up included the North Bay counties of Marin, Sonoma, and Napa, all the way down to Sonoma County to the east of us, to the Solano County to the east of us with San Joaquin County, and then down the peninsula with San Francisco, San Mateo, Alameda, Contra Costa, Santa Clara County, Santa Cruz County, Monterey County. We thought and believed that having a regional approach would cast a wide net so that we would incorporate good sharing of intelligence amongst law enforcement to just be as effective and efficient as we could. So we set up our operations center for about 2 weeks in advance of Super Bowl, and some statistics displayed up on the screen. We had contacted 73 commercial sex workers who were all offered resources through our service providers at Community Solutions. We had contacted 10 minors that were engaged in commercial sex trafficking, had arrested 29 subjects for human trafficking, pimping, and pandering charges, cited out 36 commercial sex buyers, and conducted a total of 39 operations during that period. those statistics are, it's a lot. Those are large numbers, but it's important to remember that we try not to look at and examine our success in these cases by statistics alone, right? We're trying to measure it in lives saved. And I think that's especially true with our juveniles. And I could talk a little bit about how that worked. But it worked out well. So we're really fortunate here in the Bay Area to have a really good working relationship amongst all the different human trafficking teams. We're talking together often. We're meeting together often, and that's occurring regardless of the sporting events. So I just want to mention that for context. I think that's important to understand that there is a very robust and collaborative effort to combat this crime in our region, which we should all be really proud of. And quite honestly, a lot of that has to do with this HT Commission being established, where we have the credibility that when events like this come to our region, we can make a call and people answer. Some of the agencies that participated are listed up on the slide there, to include law enforcement, service providers, nonprofits. So I'm going to talk briefly about what the mission is of the HTOC. The HTOC is an acronym for the Human Trafficking Tactical Operations Center. Many of you in the commission had visited that center during Super Bowl. We will be hosting it at the same location again for FIFA World Cup. And the mission of it is to serve as a centralized and coordinated operational hub that integrates local, state, federal, community partners, and private sector partners to detect, disrupt, and deter human trafficking associated with Super Bowl and FIFA World Cup. We're leveraging intelligence, technology, and rapid response to safeguard victims, hold traffickers accountable, and enhance regional readiness for future large-scale events. We believe that having one joint HTOC has centralized command. In today's society, many of us are communicating over online and cloud-based platforms, and that's really helpful in many ways. But ultimately, being co-housed together was really important, as there was a lot of intelligence that was shared just simply across the room real-time as events were occurring. We had an emphasis on victim protection. We worked closely with our CBO partners and Victim Services Unit to provide those protections and resources to victims. Intelligence, which I'll elaborate on a little bit more, which was really, really successful. And then enforcement and prosecution. So we had 5 different subgroups that were kind of operating in this HTOC. The first one being law enforcement. This included local law enforcement from Santa Clara County law enforcement agencies and all those surrounding counties. State representation from California Department of Justice and the Highway Patrol, and our federal partners in law enforcement, all working collaboratively. We also worked very closely with our prosecutors and had a working subgroup of prosecutors, which was really important because as we saw our victims being moved from one geographical location or one county to another, and those traffickers bringing them across county lines, we wanted to ensure continuity in charging and determine appropriate venue, because we did see quite a bit of crossover from one county to another. And then we worked with our federal partners as well, with the U.S. Attorney's Office on several cases that they adopted for federal prosecution. The analysts. The analysts were super critical to this work. I think we had about 22 different analysts throughout that operational period. For FIFA, we'll have closer to over 30. And these analysts are crime analysts that come from local police departments and sheriff's offices. They come from our federal partners and our state law enforcement agencies. They come from select private sector partners that we were working closely with, and other organizations, national organizations like NCMEC, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, all co-housed in our HTOC, and we'll be back for the HTOC again for FIFA World Cup games. We work closely with our partners at DFCS, and thank you to DFCS and the transformation team. We had put together a robust networking group of social workers that respond to cases involving commercially sexually exploited children, so that we had those contacts available as we encountered those, in this case, 10 minors. And then our advocates, organized through Community Solutions under the Voices subgroup, work closely with them where they were on site for our pre-planned operations to provide confidential advocacy services to our victims of HT. Here's kind of a basic schedule of what the H-Talk looked like for the Super Bowl. This will be replicated again for FIFA World Cup. It's roughly a 10 a.m. start time where we have shift supervisors from law enforcement arriving at the center. At 11 o'clock, our analysts are arriving. At 11:30, we do a daily shift briefing. That briefing occurs virtually, and we are pulling in representatives from all those surrounding counties to basically do a report back. And we're discussing incidents that happened from the day previous. We're discussing any pre-planned ops that are occurring that day. Our prosecutors are on the line to deconflict and determine appropriate venue and jurisdiction for charging purposes. And we're looking at ultra high risk CSEC as well as priority offenders that we're trying to get into custody. And that daily briefing is very critical to have that conversation. And we do a report out from county where everyone just reports back and on the group call. The H-Talk stays open until midnight. However, that's subject to change as we have pre-planned operations or other events unfold. We can expand that as necessary to go later into the day. I talked about the analysts. I want to really give a shout out to NCRIC. The NCRIC is the Northern California Regional Intelligence Center. It's a fusion center. These are located throughout the country. Really, these were designed in response to 9/11 to ensure that there was effective communication occurring between local, state, and federal law enforcement, as well as private organizations to ensure that major catastrophes don't happen again. So NCRIC was a massive partner in this. They led up the intelligence subgroup that sat in the H-Talk. We utilized a platform that was fairly new at the time called TRX. TRX is a threat reporting exchange. It's almost like Microsoft Teams. We all use that here in the county. Well, for the county employees here, we use Teams. We're familiar with it. Teams is you can utilize from your laptop or computer, or you can utilize from your cell phone. And TRX essentially works like Teams, but it does several things. One, it allows us to communicate real time. So instead of going through a phone tree or trying to contact a dispatch center, we have an already pre-populated list of all the people we need from those different subgroups that I had already mentioned available through the TRX platform. So I can simply go on my phone, just say at whoever it is I'm trying to reach, include them in the conversation, and now that chat's created real time. So that contacts database is in there as well for all the social workers, law enforcement, prosecutors, and analysts. It provides real-time mapping. So there's a mapping feature to TRX. So from the H-Talk, we're able to see those operational events occurring real time. As tips and leads come in, or the investigators in the field are developing intelligence about something, the analysts, those suite of analysts for Super Bowl, it was around 22 analysts. I think for FIFA World Cup, like I said, will be over 30, are literally working on that intelligence real time. This is the closest thing I've seen to a movie set in terms of actionable intelligence happening like immediately, and everyone has access to that through that TRX platform. It also allows for data collection so that we can do post-event report outs. I put my contact info here. I would say that we were using that TRX platform. We were the first to use it on this large of a scale for Super Bowl. Because of the success of it, it is now being replicated for FIFA World Cup internationally. So all the host cities in the US, with the exception of one, as well as Canada and Mexico, are using TRX for their intelligence sharing. It will allow us to have, again, not just for our Bay Area region and for our county here, we can connect with our partners in Los Angeles and Seattle. So as teams and fans are moving from one geographical location to another, we're able to share that intelligence and utilize that in that fashion. There's now, I think, upwards of 3,500 users on the TRX system for FIFA World Cup, and that was really in response to the efforts that were done in Super Bowl. We had representatives from the White House Task Force on Human Trafficking visit the Operations Center. We had representatives from Atlanta and Los Angeles, where there will be future Super Bowl events, as well as the Olympics, come to the H-Talk and view it. And the takeaway was that model of having everyone co-housed and co-located was just extremely efficient. We cast that wide net, and we were able to just have actionable intelligence and share that real time with our partners in the field. I can answer any questions that came up or if there's anything specific more. Some of it I can talk about, some of it I can't if it's case related, but glad to answer any questions as it relates to Super Bowl or the upcoming FIFA World Cup.
Thank you so much for that presentation, for all the good work that was done. I'm going to hold off on my comments. I'm going to check to see if there's any members of the public who wishes to provide comment on this item.
I do have one request on Zoom.
Okay, we're going to do 1 minute.
We'll update the timer.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I meant 2 minutes. Sorry.
2 minutes?
That was
Okay.
the
We'll leave it on 2 minutes.
standard practice, 2 minutes per public commenter.
And we'll open the microphone for Ben Z. Please go ahead.
Yes, I'm not sure what lessons could be learned from the Super Bowl. I mean, it's great that we're sharing intelligence across agencies, and we're gonna catch a lot more sex traffickers that way. But really, what we need to do is, like, when we hear about children being sex trafficked, we need to act on it, and not do things to cover it up. And that's what my experience with the district attorney's office is, because I told the district attorney personally, Jeff Rosen, I told him that my son, he confirmed being raped beginning at the age of 13, that there was unnecessary bathing with the children, and also there was sexual contact between 2 of the children, and this caused my children great distress. And the Jeff Rosen's response was several months later. What he did was he filed charges against me when I didn't commit a crime, and this was all to protect his political supporter Valerie Houghton and James Towery, because they want the sexual abuse to continue, and they don't want Jeff Rosen to help my kids. And so he's filed charges against me to discredit me. And during this criminal prosecution, he's allowing them to assault me and do terrible things to me and stalk me and hack me. And it's just terrible what Jeff Rosen is doing. And if we need to move past the Super Bowl and just remove him from office, because if you want to protect children in this county, there is no other way, because he is the one who is sex trafficking my children. He's doing it. We have a sex trafficker on this commission, and it's not acceptable. And I know this sounds absurd, but if you Google DA Jeff Rosen petition sex trafficking in the top 3 results, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you so much for your time.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you so much. As a matter of state law, we are prohibited on commenting on any private legal matter involving allegations of abuse or exploitation, no matter how heinous. For anyone who is in need of help or is in need of reporting any alleged abuse or trafficking, please call 1-833-722-5437. That's a 1-833-SEC-KIDS for the Child Abuse Neglect Center hotline. Okay, I'm going to now open up the body here for a discussion on the presentation and any questions we may have, commissioners, for Mr. Singleton. Ms. Brody?
Okay, Lieutenant Singleton, thank you for the report. I have to say, I did have the pleasure of visiting the H-Talk during Super Bowl, and you guys did a phenomenal job. Great work, and I have no doubt that that'll be replicated as we go into FIFA. The one question I do have is, obviously FIFA is going to expand over a longer period of time. What operational periods are you looking at specific to the H-Talk during that time? Are we talking about only on game days or leading up to game days? Just curious on what that operational platform will look like.
Thanks, Under Sheriff Doty. That's a great question. We will be operational from June 8th through July 2nd, operating every single day of the week during that time period. If we need to go longer than July 2nd, we can. But as of now, we're planned to be there from June 8th through July 2nd. So it's almost a 4-week period.
Great, thank you very much. Those are the only questions I had.
Thanks. And I'll also mention, sorry, I should have mentioned that that will be fully staffed by the analysts during that time period, as well as a law enforcement supervisor, not just from our task force and not just from law enforcement in our region, but subject matter experts from throughout the different counties that will be sitting in the H-Talk, and it's a very collaborative effort, so we're bringing in those resources and to help alleviate some of the staffing issues on our team as well as it's a bandwidth issue, so we're trying to really bring in other partners to help supervise that.
Commissioner Arenas?
Thank you, Chair. First of all, just these are wonderful results. I know we're not supposed to just go by statistics, but I'm sure each of these numbers, each of these victims are not just numbers, but they're people that it made a huge difference to intercept somehow. And hopefully the majority of them received some level of support or counseling. Do we ever keep track of who the number of people? And it doesn't, you don't have to tell me exactly whom, but who received support, who actually stayed connected? Is that something that you could share?
Yeah, that's a great question, and thank you for flagging that. And we also like to say there's no prevalent studies done, so it's hard to say how much trafficking increased during these events, right? Sharon mentions it often about that economics drive exploitation, and so that's really how we look at these types of events here. It's just the economics driving the exploitation. In terms of the tracking of it, a lot of that is done through advocacy services, and so I'm not sure if Perla at Community Solutions can speak to that. Again, a lot of the advocacy services is confidential in nature, so we're not sure sometimes of the follow-up that happens. Here in our county, though, extremely pleased to say that for every one of our victims and survivors that's contacted, if it's a pre-planned operations, we have those advocates from Community Solutions and the Y with our team present there with us. And those instances where it's not a pre-planned event, we always advocate for our advocates by law as well to have them present. But in terms of the tracking long-term, that would be more of a question probably for Perla.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. It's a very important question. And we do track. We do track how folks were referred and how long they engaged in services. So I'm going to speak a little bit about that during our presentation. Didn't have a huge number of referrals from Santa Clara County, but we could also speak about in terms of the operations that happened before the event, how many folks we connected with, and then happy to share out later in the year in terms of how many of those folks that connected in services remain engaged, because we do track all that.
That would be really great to hear about. And especially the minor victims, as we know that could be heading those kiddos off to further engage in whether it's a gender-based violence relationship or future sex work, or being potentially another, once again, a victim of trafficking. Would you also be the one who's going to tell us a little bit about the minors?
Yes. So I will share more about the survivors that we had contact with, and also some learnings from the Super Bowl that we're hoping to incorporate into the World Cup. Wonderful.
The next question I have is about the efforts on the sex trafficking. Now, I know this is, I don't know what the number is in terms of a baseline to expect, because I'm sure that it depends on who's there, just everything. There's so many different factors, but it would be great to figure out what a baseline is of like last year or the last time we had the event. This is what it rendered in terms of victims that were pulled from this, all of the sting operations. It would just be great to see what that is, that pattern over time, or any of the trends that we can recognize. In this singular event, fabulous. I just would like to see what that trend is. And if our minors, especially the minors, is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Is it pretty stable? I'd just like to see that over time. I'm going to move over to labor trafficking, because this is all about sex trafficking, and I wonder, and I know that Ms. Silvertop isn't here today, but are we working with folks on labor trafficking as well? I know that all of the crime analysts that you talked about are probably focused on sex trafficking, correct?
Yes and no. So all the stats that are presented here all were commercial sex trafficking. Our team does investigate labor trafficking cases as well. We did not encounter, none of those stats are labor trafficking stats. We did not encounter any labor trafficking crimes. Not to say they weren't occurring. We do have several long-term investigations that have been ongoing involving labor trafficking that are being conducted in the task force. So it is something that we're aware of and trying to investigate, but we did not receive any, to my knowledge, we did not receive any labor trafficking investigations during that time period.
It would be really interesting, Chair, to see how we can incorporate this discussion more. As we all know that ICE is persecuting a lot of the immigrant community, and that pushes them into the shadows even further. And so I just wonder how the labor trafficking is happening, how it's unfolding, especially around these sporting events, and even on an ongoing basis. I know that a lot of the folks who might be selling fruit or selling flowers at freeway entrances or just middle of the street are part of that, and we don't really call it out. We just have it as part of the background of our city, and I feel very uncomfortable about that.
Yeah, I think that's a concern that definitely this commission shares. I'm going to turn to Altar Commissioner Cermeño. I know that you're here on behalf of the Office of Labor Standards Enforcement. Hate to put you on the spot, but are there any high-level reflections or report outs that you can provide us coming out of the season of Super Bowl that may have been an uptick in calls to the reporting hotline or the advice line?
I don't necessarily can correlate any uptick in terms of after the Super Bowl. I think we were we keep on seeing the same types of calls, which are wage and hour specific harassment and discrimination, but not necessarily tied to like labor trafficking at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Was there any increase in efforts and with the Fair Workplace Collaborative, any outreach engagements around the area of Super Bowl or during the events that led up to it?
Yes, we did this fair play campaign with which we collaborated with the Fair Workplace Collaborative and just getting information out to workers, especially the seasonal workers that were hired around the Super Bowl. And then in preparation for the World Cup, we've been in conversations with the South Bay Coalition to make sure that we ramp up on our outreach and education, in particular to the small businesses in the area.
Thank you. And I'm going to say that for our next agenda, today we're discussing lessons learned from Super Bowl. We're going to have 6 Super Bowls in FIFA, basically back to back, and somewhere in between there'll be another convening, but you don't have to wait until the convening. If there's an off-agenda memo or a confidential memo that can be sent to the members of the commissioner, I think in advance of FIFA, that tells us here's activities that are happening, here's where the outreach is happening, here are quick numbers that members of this commission can share to their various constituency in preparation for any concerns about labor and sexual trafficking. I think that would be really helpful for us to understand the landscape there. And then as we come back for a debrief, it'll be helpful, Commissioner Cermeño, if OLSC can also prepare a presentation on what was learned, what came out of it. Yeah, thank you. I get a nod.
Through the chair, I'd also like to see what that material is. If you could share it with me, we would love to share it with our respective neighborhood associations. It's really important for us to just continue to distribute massively in any way that we can and work with the cities within our county to continue to do that. And I heard you say that you were working with the businesses to distribute information, but I didn't hear what that intersection with the workers is. Is there cards that you give out with numbers? What kind of campaign did you have?
So yes, sorry. Yes, it's both workers and small businesses. I think with the coalition, we're trying to focus more on the small businesses, but for sure, we're also doing outreach to all workers and all individuals, to be quite honest, not just workers, but all individuals in the community, to make sure that they have this information so that at minimum, they're able to identify what this looks like, because sometimes just because you're a worker, you think you're not being paid, you don't consider yourself a worker. But if you're someone and you're being treated in a particular type of way, that may make you a worker. So we just want to make sure that this information is out to the entire community so that they can identify these situations, that they know that we do have support, we have the advice line, and we do give out cards, and we make sure that this information's out in different type of languages as well.
Thank you. And I would love to see if there's any opportunity for us to connect with agencies that provide maybe some kind of non-traditional outreach. The folks that actually can go into the streets and hand out cards to folks who are selling on the side of the road. I just I've not heard of anything quite like that. And I don't know how we can directly impact them if we're not directly outreaching to them, right? I mean, we can go around and cover their network, right? Their churches, their schools, their neighborhood businesses that they go to. But I think at one point or another, it's important for us to reach out to them directly in some way. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Gilmore?
Thank you so much. I just wanted to follow up with, I think with Supervisor Arenas' questioning about the numbers that are coming from the District Attorney's Office, and they're quite amazing. I think that's really great. How do you distinguish between the sex trafficking that was already happening versus those related to Super Bowl? Because I'm wondering how you distinguish that and what we should expect going forward towards the World Cup games.
Thanks, Mayor Gilmore. That's a great question. Unfortunately, because this is an underground crime, we don't have true numbers. My personal opinion, this is Josh Singleton's personal opinion, if we were to launch a similar operations center with the same amount of resources and staffing over that same time period, I don't know that our numbers would be that different. It's hard to say. We were tracking out-of-state victims and traffickers, and we'll do that again for FIFA. But quite honestly, because there's no prevalence studies, it's really hard to know.
Thank you for your hard work, though. Thank you.
Thank you. And if I can just address Supervisor Arenas' on the outreach issue, one of the organizations we had with us that sat with us in the HTalk and worked closely with the coalition was In Our Backyard. They did a lot of outreach in liquor stores, where we know that a lot of trafficking victims are having to utilize to get supplies and food and use the restroom. So they had done, through their volunteer efforts, had done some outreach there. And some of the high-risk industries we see in Santa Clara County for labor trafficking specifically is our gig economy. We're seeing a lot of trafficking occurring in the rideshare industry. It obviously occurs with food vendors. We're seeing a lot of it occurring in our illicit massage businesses and other health and beauties locations, like brick and mortar locations. We're seeing it in the hospitality industry. So there is a lot of labor trafficking occurring in those industries, agriculture as well in the southern portions of our county. So something we're aware of.
And then turn to see, are there any other questions or comments, discussion from,
Through the chair, yes.
Now that
Commissioner? You got me going now. I remember when I was a council member for the city of San Jose, I think we closed, 200 plus massage parlors, either through administrative means or through sting operations. And one of the lessons that we learned was that we weren't really rendering human trafficking survivors out of those operations, and so we took a different approach, and actually some of the partners that you see here are now the partners that go out to some of the operations so that they can accompany the officers and actually have, have some of those survivors connect with them in a very different way. And I just wonder if we, lessons that we learned in the past, sometimes we need to continue to repeat them. We think we had learned them, and then all of a sudden something changes, somebody moves on, there's a turnover, as there should be in our police department every year now, or 2 years. I'm not sure what the rotation is currently. But I wonder if we could check in with some of our larger partners like San Jose, and I'm not saying just San Jose, obviously Santa Clara, because all of the neighboring cities that you think that would be major, just to see, are we still sticking to some of the protocols that we learned and that we adopted from the past, and is there anything that we can sharpen up before we head into this?
Agreed. And I think, I think that's one of the disadvantages of working for the government, is that we do have turnover and there's a lack of institutional knowledge. I think one thing we have here that's really helpful is the human trafficking guidelines. That document that is subscribed to by all the law enforcement agencies really is a very comprehensive document. It talks about patrol officer response. It talks about the 911 dispatcher response, the medical response, working with the advocate groups, law enforcement investigations. And so having that kind of document and being able to come back to that to just be our guiding kind of document for policies and procedures is really helpful. And that does get amended. We went through it, we amended that about 2 years ago as well, with current updates.
Yeah.
We recently launched, within the last year or so, the Illicit Massage Business Coalition, which is specifically designed to address trafficking that's occurring in that industry. And we're not just doing it from a law enforcement perspective, but trying to bring in other important stakeholders, such as basically looking at trying to revamp permitting processes, so including the city managers, including code enforcement, law enforcement, community prosecutors from the district attorney's office, all working collectively, obviously under a victim-centered, trauma-informed approach. We don't want to push it deeper underground. It's something we're aware of, but really trying to address the uptick in the illicit massage business industry through all the cities by amending and updating the permitting process for people to obtain those brick-and-mortar massage businesses.
Yeah, that's always, I know we had we put all those licenses on pause for a couple of years, but where there, where there's a means, there's a way, and folks can just put these up really easily in any one of our cities without a permit until somebody catches on, right? So I love that we have all of these protocols that reflect that institutional knowledge that has been gained throughout the years. What I'm worried about is not necessarily what we've learned, but who's actually, the practice of it. Because sometimes we just think, oh, the guy behind me is going to know, because obviously this is the way that we've been doing this for quite some time. But then, one of the trainers is gone, or, just for turnover reasons or retirement, then somebody, that key person leaves, and leaves with that, like you said, institutional knowledge, and all of a sudden that, that document that you refer to might be really intense, and so the practice then takes over, right? Or a cultural norm takes over. And so I think this is just me trying to create this awareness of some of the work that we do is policy, but the practice of the folks who are carrying out the work is just something that just checking in with folks to see what is it that has been working? Is there anything that we need to learn from them in terms of needs, or what's been happening out there? Because it's a two-way street here, right? So that would be another really interesting perspective to learn about when you bring these reports back, just to know, these kinds of protocols are working better if we do such and such. it allows for me to recognize the value of policy put into practice. And so anyways, I really appreciate it for just future conversations. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to do a scan of the board chambers dais to see if there are any other questions or comments regarding Commissioner Singleton's presentation. Okay. Lieutenant Singleton, I was very grateful to have had the opportunity to tour the operating command center under multiple layers of security and clearances. And it was a point well taken to see the number of people who are there on a volunteer basis, working around the clock, and the heavy toll that it takes on an individual to be an analyst in that situation. And the volunteers going through all types of websites and monitoring communications that really none of us ever really hope to see in life, right? Would not want to witness for ourselves, let alone volunteering to do this for hours on end. So in any way possible, please relay my appreciation, the appreciation of the commission for the work that they do. I'm glad that you brought up In Our Backyard. So one of the conversations that began during the tour is that their volunteer work, going from liquor store to convenience store to also gas stations and rest stops in the surrounding area in the days leading up to the Super Bowl, with images of children who are missing. And out of that effort, at least one child was recovered because of their engagement at the small business point. So I'd like to ask for the Office of Labor Standards Enforcement, through your work with the Fair Workplace Collaborative, there's already an infrastructure there of contracted CBOs doing this engagement with liquor stores, also with small businesses, to somehow see if there's a point where we can link up, and at the very least, a point of communication to see that, because they'll be back, this group will be back for the FIFA games to do outreach in the same way. If there's a way to leverage our Fair Workplace Collaborative who are already at the small businesses to amplify these efforts. I think those are my 2 cents for this. And I get a nod from OLSC, and Lieutenant Singleton, can I entrust you to help make that connection for them?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so this is a receive report item, so no motion is necessary, although I do love the choir tones of this room. But we're going to move on to item 5 now, which is receive report from the Office of the County Executive relating to county efforts to address human trafficking. And I believe we have Commissioner Martinez from the office, on behalf of the Office of Gender-Based Violence Prevention today, to provide a presentation.
Good afternoon, Maribel Martinez, Division of Equity and Social Justice, Office of the County Executive. Today, the report will be brief, discussing the activities that have taken place since our last meeting in February to now, and including activities in development, and finally some thoughts as we prepare for FIFA World Cup and reflections on the Super Bowl. This report was informed by updates by our Safe Plus nurse manager and team, SSA, DFCS and transformation team, including probation, Children's Advocacy Center, Victim Witness Unit, Human Trafficking Task Force. Some of those reps are here today and can add and answer questions, while others have sent responses ahead of time that I will report out for them. I'd also like to note in the audience, DCE Halkin and Dr. Analila Garcia, DESJ Director. For the Office of Gender-Based Violence Prevention, work has been to secure county sponsorship as requested by this body for the safetyforthebay.org awareness campaign and community resource navigation. Office of Gender-Based Violence Prevention continues to participate in the No Traffic Ahead regional organizing efforts. OGVBP is working with 9 vendors to renew the contracts to address gender-based violence for the next fiscal year. That includes a 19% reduction to meet our budget restrictions there. But this also includes our rape crisis centers that provide services in the community, and to our Children's Advocacy Center, and all of those rape crisis center contracts are proposed to maintain their current level of funding, so no cuts proposed for those for the next fiscal year. On the training side, for this quarter, OGVBP will bring a facilitators training to the county. This training will allow for facilitators to lead a 10-week closed group curriculum for boys and young men ages 14 to 24 who have been exposed to family violence to explore social gender norms and interrupt or prevent human trafficking, sexual violence, and domestic violence. This training was to have taken place in May, but was rescheduled to the end of June, and there are currently over 20 county and CBO registrants. Moving to our Office of Labor Standards and Enforcement, as previously discussed already, there was a continuation of the Fair Pay, Fair Play campaign. Through it, OLSE prepared outreach materials in advance of this year's major sporting events hosted here in Santa Clara County, and recognized that these events bring a significant increase in temporary and event-based employment. To that effect, OLSE created an informational card to ensure that workers who make these events possible are aware of their labor rights. The card highlights key labor protections, including minimum wage rates in Santa Clara County, overtime rules, meal and rest break requirements. It also directs workers to OLSE's free legal advice line, available in multiple languages, should they have questions or need assistance. The cards were distributed to OLSE's CBO partners for distribution to workers and businesses across Santa Clara County. OLSE is also collaborating with the South Bay Coalition to End Human Trafficking in preparation for FIFA. As the World Cup approaches, OLSE will support this coalition in their Safety for the Bay campaign by helping to distribute Safety for the Bay and human trafficking hotline information to businesses. OLSE will work with its community partners to ensure that Safety for the Bay materials are shared widely and invisible as many locations as possible. These outreach efforts will help prepare businesses ahead of FIFA World Cup. Lastly, for DESJ, the communications team has, as of today, been trained for any activations in support of the interagency and regional emergency response, bringing an equity lens and bridge to emergency and crisis communications. And a great thanks for our OEM and the city of Santa Clara for their coordination in that effort. For the transformation team, Department of Children and Family Services will be holding CSEC training for their staff next month at transitional shelter sites, as well as providing support for human trafficking task force throughout the World Cup events. Probation continues to strengthen its collaborative partnership with DFCS and the transformation team in addressing issues of human trafficking that impact vulnerable youth within the community through regular cross-agency care consultation, joint participation of information sharing, and providing trainings focused on recognizing indicators of trafficking. Most recently, on May 12th, the transformation team held a one-day CSEC training for all incoming social workers. And in preparation for FIFA World Cup, the probation department, along with DFCS, participated in a collaborative meeting with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to discuss best practices, prevention strategies, coordinated response efforts, resources, and community awareness related to human trafficking risk associated with large-scale international events. The SAFE Plus program, primarily in education and outreach, has been doing work since April on April Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and have outreach to approximately 470 individuals since February across various settings, including health clinics, behavioral health settings, and college campuses. Additionally, they have participated in all Education Skills Day for 4 county enterprise emergency departments. As a reminder, the SAFE Plus program provides 24/7 access to resources, including sexual assault forensics exams at designated response locations throughout the region. Specifically trained medical forensic healthcare specialists and professionals work with patient survivors 12 years and older who have experienced various forms of sexual assault or violence, including sexual assault, rape, domestic and intimate partner violence, physical and mental abuse, strangulation, sexual coercion, and human trafficking. As we think of the Super Bowl and its lessons and applying them to FIFA, while most of this work has been in preparation, we do have some insights for that. for the most part, as shared earlier, there were limited engagement in terms of referrals, although we did see those numbers from law enforcement in terms of cases involved. However, for our providers, for example, the Safe Plus program, we did not see an increase in patients or an overwhelming uptick in clients during that weekend, that week, or that month of the Super Bowl. However, FIFA brings with it important nuances not attributed to the Super Bowl. As an international event, the FIFA World Cup brings international travel and international audiences. Significant to note is that human trafficking cases in our areas have involved international foreign-born survivors. Additionally, while the Super Bowl included one day and festivities taking place all week leading up to the game, FIFA in our county includes 6 games and spans from June 13th to July 1st, with game watchers, players, and others arriving earlier in the month. A full month of activities take place regionally across North America and expand over its 3 countries, US, Mexico, and Canada. And for the US, the game spans the nation in locations including Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Seattle, and our Bay Area. This high level of travel is a significant factor in our approach to prevention and coordination. So we will continue to try to staff to meet those needs. Our current contracts extend through the end of the fiscal year, which cover the bulk of the FIFA impacted period. However, the last match in Santa Clara County is on July 1st, the first day of the new fiscal year, in which contracts are proposed to begin with the reduced allocation. Over the next couple of weeks, our contracted partners will submit updated FY27 scopes that meet the maximum financial obligation while maintaining flexibility across all of their eligible funding categories. This flexibility allows vendors to plan accordingly and to prioritize in the ways most effective to them to execute the work in this tough budget time. This also allows for planning to absorb a response and activity to that last FIFA match and any resulting response services into the new fiscal year. Again, with that, happy to take questions and invite the other contributors to add or answer questions as well.
I'll first give the opportunity for any contributors to provide any additional comments or presentation. I see no takers. We're going to turn to public comment now to see if there's any members of the public who wish to provide comment on this item.
I have one request to speak.
Okay, 2 minutes.
Okay, we'll open the microphone for Benzie for 2 minutes. Please go ahead.
Yes, it does sound like the county's doing a lot of different things to combat human trafficking. I especially like that we're not making any cuts to the Child Advocacy Center. But one thing that wasn't mentioned that was proposed at the budget hearings was removing control of the Child Advocacy Center from Jeff Rosen. I believe this would be an excellent way to protect children. I said before about what's happening to my kids, and DA Rosen, he's blocking access to my children, for my children to receive a screening at the Child Advocacy Center. That's just, it's not acceptable to me that our district attorney would block access. I mean, I've asked him a million times, even at these meetings, very politely and nicely, I asked him if he could please provide a referral, and you guys all heard it, that I asked it, and he never helped me. He never responded. He just doesn't care what's happening to my kids. And if we remove access or control of that, we could completely change the culture within our Child Advocacy Center, and we could help protect a lot more children in the process. There was another example with Saul Duran, when Jeff Rosen, he said that there was concerning behavior from him when he worked at the Parenting Project, and Jeff Rosen never reported this to CPS. He never provided those girls a screening at the Child Advocacy Center. He didn't do any of that. So I mean, it's just a repeated pattern. And I've spoken to a lot of other parents who say that they either didn't get a screening, or that abuse was never confirmed when it was obvious. So I think that's what we should do, and I hope that we do it. Thank you so much for your time.
That concludes public comment.
Thank you. California law prohibits the disclosure of information related to any investigation of suspected child abuse or neglect. We are not authorized by law to speak to the specifics of any particular case, no matter how horrendous the allegations. We are not allowed and prohibited by law to respond to any allegations provided during public comment. For all those who believe there has been a case of child abuse, please contact our Child Abuse Neglect Center hotline. 183, hold on, I had the number here. (1-833) SEC I had the number right. Thank you. At this time, I'll turn to members of the commission for any comment, questions to our presenters. Looking, scanning. Okay, all right. There are no lights or hands waving. Maribel, thank you so much for providing the presentation today. I think for our next commission meeting, it'd be really helpful to understand all the different flows of services and how it extends from the contracted services that our county provides for. It's also been really helpful that to understand that no impacts to fiscal to monetary support or contracted support has been impacted in the current fiscal year. Thank you. Okay, so last call for any questions, comments, or concerns, discussions before we move on to our next presentation. Okay, thank you so much. We're now going to move over to item 6, which is receive report from the South Bay Coalition to End Human Trafficking relating to regional coordination and outreach efforts. Sharon, you are up.
Thank you. I'm Sharon Deneau. I direct the South Bay Coalition and Human Trafficking, and Perla Flores, our chair, is going to be joining us today for some of the updates. So again, the South Bay Coalition, the Project of Community Solutions, is also facilitating a regional work group called No Traffic Ahead, which is now over 10 years old. You can see the different groups that are included as part of that regional work group. It includes service providers, legal service providers, law enforcement agencies, different worker rights groups, government agencies, and community members. We're pretty well represented in terms of the Bay Area region. You can see all the counties listed there. Our updates will be broken up in kind of 2 sections, the service provision and readiness, and Perla will be providing that update through voices, and then I'll talk about outreach. And I will hand it over to Perla.
Thank you, Sharon. So Perla Flores, I chair of the South Bay Coalition to End Human Trafficking, and also I direct gender-based violence services for Community Solutions. So in terms of the Voices of Victim Outreach, Intervention, Care, and Empowerment Services group, we've really been able to leverage collaborations that have been existing for years with local, regional, and statewide service providers. And as a big part of the work that we're doing through Voices is building capacity for advocacy and emergency response during the large sporting events. We've held through Voices a couple of large summits, the first one January 22nd, that really focused on ensuring that advocates have the training, the support that they need to understand the right to a human trafficking advocate. We're also working on victim rights cards that we'll share with law enforcement and other partners that include the right to a human trafficking advocate, sexual assault advocate, et cetera, and then general rights that victims of crime, particularly human trafficking survivors, have. So again, the focus was on the best practices for in-person response, including multi-victim operations, individual responses, working with law enforcement, and then also support through long-term 3 to 5 year support, which it typically takes to ensure that survivors are on that pathway to safety, healing, and hope. We had 55 advocates present, and 8 advocates in attendance represented 8 different Bay Area counties, which we thought was really exciting. And then the second Voices Summit, we had 51 representatives from 7 different Bay Area counties. The second summit really focused on access to emergency shelter and hotel as we gear up again for these large sporting events, and also ensuring that every one of the advocacy service providers has a language access plan. And we can go to the next slide. So in terms of the data, and this is where some of your questions, Council Member Supervisor also, Commissioner and Supervisor Arenas will be answered. We did not have any in-person responses during the weekend of the Super Bowl. that were related specifically to human trafficking. But one thing that we have seen, and we started tracking data, and Sharon will talk more about this, we're looking at data in terms of the increase in requests for in-person response related to domestic violence or sexual assault during large sporting events, because we do tend to see a little bit of an uptick. Again, we had 2 in-person response requests for intimate partner violence and 1 for sexual assault in the weekend of the Super Bowl. The week preceding the Super Bowl, as Lieutenant Singleton mentioned, there were multi-victim operations. We had 5 advocates that participated in 5 multi-victim operations, and the advocates connected with 5 survivors. Of those survivors, 2 were from Ada County, from Sacramento, 3 were from N County. The ages were youngest 21, oldest 28. One of the survivors refused services during that initial contact. The other 4 said that they were interested in services, but did not engage in services as we reached out to support to them. The other piece that's really important as we think about, again, increasing and amplifying the message and getting ready for these large sporting events. We've been working closely also with Rapid Response Network and trying to develop a protocol so that if there is a need, if any potential victims are picked up by ICE and there's a need for an immigration attorney, that we're developing a protocol with the rapid response networks in our region, and also trying to develop a screening tool so that any individual that reaches out to the rapid response network that potentially could be a domestic violence, sexual assault, or human trafficking survivor are connected to resources. I've also been, we've been amplifying the Safety for the Bay resource navigator in different spaces, including with IPEN. Also had the opportunity to share the information at the last or previous to last Belonging in the Bay Summit, those are really important as well. Working closely with other partners, we've added the ILRC safety plan, the family safety plan, to this to the Safety for the Bay, and are developing a QR code that will take folks directly to that safety plan, and that QR code will go on flyers that we're distributing, focusing in South County to the different food providers. So definitely a lot of opportunities there. We can go to the next slide. And then in terms of some of the lessons learned, we did not make contact with any, no survivors were identified during the weekend of the Super Bowl here in Santa Clara County. But we did have the opportunity to work very closely with our law enforcement partners. What we found in one of the cases, so we're going to highlight one case, there was a minor that was not identified in our county, did not have any connection to our county. But because she was not connected to service providers in a timely manner, was later located, it was exploited in a different county. So what we found in this situation, there were some challenges around jurisdiction, some challenges around lodging, and those delays created difficulties in securing that support for survivors. So the way that we're hoping to address that, and really appreciate, thank you, Josh, for all of your support and ensuring that we have an advocate present at the Command Operating Center, all of as much as possible. We also have some limitations, and working very closely with voices, with the service providers around the region to identify points of contact for in-person response, points of contact for emergency shelter, hotel, in different areas, so that if a survivor's identified, or if they're in our county, obviously we'll provide the in-person response. If they're in a different county, then we can work directly with the points of contact to ensure, if it's possible to have in-person response. Not all counties can provide that. Unfortunately, not all counties have the advocacy support for human trafficking survivors. For example, in San Mateo, there isn't a service provider that provides that in-person response and support. So trying to identify, again, where possible in the different counties, a point of contact for the in-person response, and also that access to emergency shelter or hotel. So again, we think that that's going to be very helpful to have an advocate there. The other piece that has been, continues to be a challenge are the cuts in funding. We've seen service providers impacted across the country, really. And as service provider, we're still waiting to see in terms of the VOCA backfill. We know that we need $100 million to backfill the VOCA decrease, and at this point, the governor's committed $25 million, so the advocacy continues there, and trying to ensure that we continue with a 24-hour in-person response, access to emergency shelter, hotel, while we're also addressing some of the the potential cuts at the county level as well. Thank you. And that's all I have. Thank you, Sharon.
And I do want to highlight, I don't know if Perla mentioned this, but it sounds like that cases actually started coming through after the Super Bowl. And so that's significant for the World Cup as well, is that maybe all the, and there's a lot of reasons why that might happen. We can come back to Perla if she wants to add to that. The other thing I also wanted to respond to is earlier we asked about institutional knowledge. With law enforcement agencies that have transition, I really do want to call out that institutional knowledge is often carried through our service providers. Perla has been doing this for over 20 years. And so what we see is there has been consistency with our service providers to talk about best practices and partnership, and I just want to elevate that as well. For outreach, I'm going to be going over some of the analytics, jurisdictional reach, billboard campaign that we have, our outreach to bars, hotels, partnership with airport, and upcoming outreach. So again, Safety for the Bay is our main initiative. It is a human rights strategy. It's not solely focused on human trafficking. It is a human rights strategy. We are putting this in a lot of different materials, including a billboard campaign. I want to thank Beth Dillon, our coordinator, who is really good with data and put together kind of a snapshot of the analytics as it relates to the Safety for the Bay website. What we do know is that we're seeing a consistent increase each month. And so you can see that it's almost a 35% increase. A lot of that just depends on our outreach and where we've been focusing efforts to put up different materials. Human trafficking has been the #1 resource page that people come to. I think that's no surprise since a lot of our outreach groups focus on exploitation. I'll leave the stats for folks to look at in your own time, but additional analytics to consider is who's actually clicking and going to the website. What's pretty interesting is that, yes, San Jose is consistently the #1 city that's been visiting the site, but we also have folks who are visiting from other states and even outside of California. VPNs could play a part. I know that a lot of agencies may be using VPNs that are using servers in other states, and so that's one thing that we may be able to look at in the future. But again, the homepage was the most viewed page, followed by human trafficking. I'll just move us along. Upcoming data and research. This also relates to some of the conversation that was happening earlier. The coalition is working with Evidence Change, which is a crime research organization in Oakland, to do some data collection as it relates to sporting events. This includes specifically looking at labor. And what are we doing? We're going to be doing focus groups with day workers, as well as fast food workers, as well as hotel workers through the union. And so we're setting up focus groups to find out what the impact has been of these large events. There's also analytic or data that we can collect from Rapid Response Network, who we're partnering with, our service providers. So we're hoping to paint a picture by hopefully fall of what the impact of these sporting events has been as it relates to safety and trafficking. The other way that we're collecting data is I just showed you some of the analytics that relate to Google Analytics, but we're also creating bespoke QR codes, and that's really important for some of our placements. I'll be speaking about our partnership with VTA, but they're going to have a very specific QR code. So at the end of the World Cup, we'll actually have an idea of how many people writing VTA actually clicked on the website. Similarly, with the airport, we have that partnership, and AC Transit, but I'll be talking about that in a moment. We continue to grow in terms of participating agencies, and we'll be building out a participating jurisdictions component on the website as well to reflect our regional partners. We're still kind of going all over the Bay Area. We've presented to the Alameda County Mayors Association, working a lot with different chambers of commerce. I want to give a shout out to Sister Rosemary Everett. She, I think, contacted 100 chambers of commerce to try to do outreach on, for Safety for the Bay. It's pretty incredible. We have some really great partners. So we're kind of organically going where there's interest. So there are cities who've shown a lot of interest. City of Alameda has shown interest. They're hosting a watch party for the Australian team. And so you're finding natural partnerships evolving in that way. Vallejo was a city that we know that there was a lot of activity in Solano County during the time of the Super Bowl, and so we're trying to strengthen partnership there as well through training. So tomorrow there'll actually be a key stakeholder meeting that the coalition is supporting. So updates on our campaign, VTA, you can see we're going to be having four copies that are going to be in the interior cards that represent 6 languages, which is pretty incredible. What we've been doing in the past month is we've been doing focus groups with specific language-speaking communities. So we did focus groups to focus on Chinese, Hindi, Tagalog, Vietnamese, and we'll be doing another one in Spanish. We've done some previous ones with Spanish speakers. But the point of those focus groups is to make sure that the messaging that we have in this billboard resonates and that it's a play on words. So for some communities, we're actually changing the language altogether. And so we feel a lot more confident about the messaging as it relates to other languages. So that's going to be a great partnership with VTA. It's going to include the VTA alerts there. We're also, we got free copy. We love free. Yay. Free copy from Clear Channel Outdoor. They're giving us a billboard off the 101, and I can provide that address. And that's going to be rotating 6 images. So again, we're going to have each language represented there. We're working with AC Transit, again, interior cards. Transit is one of our main focus areas because we know the people who are riding public transportation are from communities where we see some vulnerabilities to labor exploitation and trafficking. Other outreach that we're doing, we're going to LA. Safety for LA has been locked in. So that is a really great regional initiative. LA was really interested in seeing how they can replicate this. Really, they're looking at the Olympics, but we're hoping to launch around the time of the World Cup for LA, so that's great. We put together a really great booklet that focuses specifically on bars, and so that looks at the intersection of sexual assault and human trafficking. Our partners at the YWCA and Community Solutions, Sexual Assault Advocates, really helped inform that. We actually, coming back to what we were talking about within our backyard, the coalition partnered within our backyard for the convenience store outreach. So we actually are an active partner for that. We helped host the training and provide the training to volunteers, and we'll be doing that again on June 6th and June 13th as it relates to the World Cup, and those are in-person trainings. We also got free PSA time from iHeartRadio. We love free. Yay, iHeartRadio. So there's a 30-second PSA on safety for the Bay. We're updating all the posters in San Jose Airport to include safety for the Bay and the QR code there. Again, we have 6 languages represented. Let's see, what else do we have? We're going to be in the next month or so, we're going to be focusing on watch parties. And what we'll be doing is we actually have information cards for community members, but we're also trying to engage with businesses to put up that mirror cling that you see on the slide there. That can be put in business bathrooms. We're focusing on high foot traffic area. San Pedro Square is a good example. Convenience stores, as mentioned, within our backyard, bars, and we're working with Caltrain to see if we can get these mirror clings put into each car for Caltrain. And I believe that is it.
Thank you. Thank you, Perla. Thank you, Sharon, for that presentation. I'm gonna, let's see. Mayor Gilmore, Commissioner Gilmore, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, and thank you for the presentation, Perla, and Sharon for your information as well. And Sharon had mentioned that you had some additional requests or additional issues after Super Bowl that we have to look at after the games as well. So my question is here, we're hosting games from June 13th to July 1st, but the World Cup goes on till July 19th. So are we extending the services all the way through to July 19th? Because I know there's fan festivals and watch parties, and we will still have a lot of visitors here in the Bay Area. So how far do all of these services extend? That's my question.
Thank you. That's a great question. So the services that we offer, are offered year-round. Yeah, so we do see it increase. What typically will increase, if we have not seen in the Super Bowl, the previous 2 Super Bowls, we did not see a huge uptick during the weekend of. From the time of the Super Bowl, we've had over 20 referrals. So from the Super Bowl to date, we've had 20 referrals, and 13 of them were like in the 30 days following. So we'll continue to have the advocacy support services, and that's why we really advocate for that continued funding so that we can provide the in-person response, and then that wraparound support that goes from 3 to 5 years is typically what it takes. So we'll continue to provide that in our county. If there is an uptick, and that's why we're trying to create and build that the regional capacity to support. And we're very fortunate in our county because it's Community Solutions, the YWCA, and Asian Americans for Community Involvement that are funded by the county to provide human trafficking services for survivors. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. To other commissioners on the dais with any questions? Commissioner Arenas?
Thank you. And thank you for the presentation, for all the information, obviously the work that goes behind all of that. You said you got free PSAs either through the iHeartRadio or through Clear Channel, and that is all in and of itself a whole job. So congratulations for that. I love it. And please, count on us to continue your PSAs within our efforts as well. And so if we can organize something, we can make sure that we all launch it off or have different messaging that you want us to stick to. You said you had 6 different messages that alternate, so let us also be part of your network. And we're also free. So I think that's a selling point right there. Anyways, I was going to ask you about, you said some of the calls are coming in after the fact, right? After the Super Bowl. And I know that has been a trend over the years, whether the Super Bowl is in our city or in our county or not. It calls for domestic violence increase after some of these athletic events happen, right? And I'm wondering, how has it been for the last couple of years? I don't know if we have statistics overall, like, is the severity of the abuse, I know that some of that was being anecdotally shared, like during the pandemic, for our children as well as for adults, that the severity of the abuse was a lot higher. And I don't know what the trends is at this point. Is it, I don't know how it would look different, but if there's anything that was notable that might give us some insight about patterns.
So specifically for human trafficking, one of the things that we have seen is more threats around "you're not documented." And I think that's we've seen an increase in individuals that are being threatened by their traffickers, employers of you're not here legally. So that's something that at least in this last year, we definitely have seen that's one trend. The other trend that's really...
Perla, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Was that had to do with sex or labor or just in
Both.
general? Both.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're seeing that also in domestic violence cases. We've seen that the risk of, I'm going to report you to ICE, has had a little bit of a chilling effect in cases of domestic violence specifically. We've seen an increase in the severity of violence. And I know that's a different topic and definitely can have a conversation, but there's so much overlap between domestic violence and human trafficking often. The other trend that we're seeing that does not help human trafficking survivors, particularly foreign-born labor trafficking survivors, is how much more challenging it is for someone to pursue immigration relief. It's a lot more requests for evidence. I've had cases where, for example, if I have one case, and we're seeing this happening nationally, where I submitted an application for a U visa, and USCIS did not review the application. They just looked at the waiver and denied the waiver. So once that person's grounds of inadmissibility, a request to waive those grounds of inadmissibility had been denied, they were put into removal proceedings. So we're seeing a lot of survivors that do not want to apply for any type of immigration relief. In terms of human trafficking, that's what I've also seen in the last couple of months, an increase in the referral for human trafficking support. We're working closely with, for example, Escuela Popular, and so we've gotten referrals through them, but we have seen more folks want information and get referrals for services, but not quite ready to go through that, pursuing some type of immigration relief because of some of those concerns that are very real.
Thank you. Well, as it pertains to South County, please, I'm open to partnering and anything that we can do. Love to figure that piece out offline.
Yeah, definitely. The other huge trend that we're seeing is that survivors are not able to become self-sufficient as quickly. There's more reluctance to provide work for individuals, especially if they don't have work authorizations. But we are seeing that it's taking folks a longer time being in our shelter, a longer time being in the like housing programs, a longer time of needing financial assistance. In the last, at least in the last year, we've seen a huge additional barriers and taking longer for folks to become self-sufficient. And that's where that financial assistance is really important for folks as well. Yeah.
So then what happens in those cases, Perla? Are you seeing people returning back to their partner? Are you seeing, you're seeing longer times in shelters and support systems, but do you see them continuing to hang in there?
If we're able to continue to provide the emergency shelter, transitional housing, or housing financial assistance, if we're able to, then as long as they have the support, the likelihood is that they'll remain engaged in services. And thankfully, we haven't gone to that situation quite yet where we have to tell somebody, we're not going to be able to provide you financial rental assistance. It's become really challenging too with a lot of the housing grants. For example, there's a grant, we didn't apply for it because there's a grant through the Office of Violence Against Women. And I was just at a retreat with some the directors from we have a Greater Bay Area Domestic Violence Agency Collaborative, which is at a retreat last week. And one of the Center for Domestic Peace, the ED from that center, shared that they'd applied for a grant through the office, or they're looking for the NOFO to be released through the Office of Violence Against Women for a housing grant. And they never saw it released, but then they got an email of who wants to be a rater or grade different proposals for that particular grant. So when they asked, well, we never saw the NOFO come out, the response was that it was released for 2 days by invitation. So we've seen a lot of the funding, the federal funding particularly, go towards like faith-based organizations. So there's federal funding that's no longer an option for housing services, no longer an option for the direct advocacy piece, and that part is really concerning. But with the survivors that we work with, again, that's why we continue to advocate for that, not just the advocacy support to be available, but also the financial assistance, because as long as we can provide that, there's still hope. Where it gets challenging is where that's no longer an option. And then I think people have to survive, so they might have to go back to an exploitative situation or to an abusive relationship.
Yeah. Right. It's a tough place to be. As you see this pattern of more faith-based organizations obtaining some of that funding, or as you move into continuing to see that, if that's the case, will you bring those folks in, those organizations into conversations? Are they partners currently? Are they folks?
We have not. We've been, to be, again, very transparent. I think we just have to be really cautious. Like, for example, now that the National Human Trafficking Hotline is a great example of that. It's no longer being run by the Polaris Project, so we have to be very careful because there aren't those assurances that survivor information is going to be kept confidential. And that's where, again, where it got really tricky, because even like with as we think about like what number do we put, we've always traditionally had put out as the main point of contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline, because we have protocols with the Polaris Project. They knew the way that our county works with the point agency system. We don't have that in place with this new organization that's taken over managing the National Human Trafficking Hotline. And we also, there's concerns not just from us, but from several service providers in the field, whether if somebody calls that hotline, if their information is going to be kept confidential. And so we can't as readily rely on those partners that are, or those providers that are coming in. Yeah. So longer conversation for a different day, but those are some of the challenges that we're coming up against.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Scanning the dais here to see if there are any other questions. Oh, Commissioner Danoa?
I just wanted to respond to the earlier offer about the PSAs with the county, and also just flag that we do actually have a social media campaign that we're putting together now, and so maybe we can share that with the commissioners when it's ready to launch, and see if there are agencies that want to help share that out.
That'd be fantastic. I believe that most of the commissioners on here, if not everyone, has a far and wide, broad reach to their constituent basis. So I think that's something that I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads up here that would be appreciative of that. Yeah, and Sharon, since you're at it, please can you also share a link to your recent interview on KQED Forum about? Oh no, I'm not embarrassing you. It was a very
Both-
well
both
received
of us were on
interview.
there. Yes.
Yes, and Lieutenant Singleton too. Thank you so much for representing the county in such a wonderful way. As I was listening to the episode that morning, I was very proud. I'm always proud of the county, but extra proud that day. Thank you. So I have some questions here. There's a slide on a case study slide here. Yeah, and with one of the outcomes, the identification of a minor from out of state being sexually exploited in multiple counties in the region, and there were some learnings that came out of that, and the ultimate question is, have we been able to lift those learnings to ensure a protocol for the future, and if not, what is it that is needed on the policy and our side of the dais to help further that?
Well, I'll speak on the victim service provider side. So I think on the victim service provider side, one of the things that we realize is very important is to have those points of contact so that we can connect individuals as quickly as possible. By the time that there was nobody that in her county that could provide that support, but identifying the points of contact or leaning in, because we have the South Bay Coalition service providers have leaned in to support survivors in other counties when it's necessary. Having somebody at the operation, the command center is going to be really important to have an advocate present, so that as calls are coming in, that advocate can start speaking to the survivor, figuring out what county are you in, do you want support there, do you want to go, and then connecting that individual to the point of contact as soon as possible. And I think there's some jurisdictional issues that came up with the travel, so if you want to speak to those, Josh.
Sure. This is a case involving a 14-year-old juvenile who was being trafficked in another county, not here. She had been recovered by law enforcement out on the Blade in that particular county. They followed their protocols, contacting social workers, and then getting her into a welcoming type center like we have here, which she left from quickly each time. We were up on some surveillance techniques of her, so we're able to quickly kind of keep tabs on her, and quickly through the analytical work identified a trafficker that was involved, quickly shifted efforts into apprehending that offender, who was, again, not in our county, but we had some venue and jurisdiction here which allowed us to pursue him. They had then traveled from the original county in which they were in, that she kept leaving care. They had gone to a county just north of us, where she was contacted again. She had barricaded herself into a hotel room. The law enforcement there were working on trying to get in contact with her. Team apprehended the offender, who fled on foot, and ultimately got him in custody. And then we were really kind of stuck. What are we going to do with this 14-year-old? There was really not any great housing placement options for her. So had worked with our service providers here to see if we could come up with creative solutions here, had contacted our medical staff who have direct admission abilities into Valley Medical Center to see if we could potentially look for an option there to get her into a medical facility there to get some treatment, just a place to stabilize her while the advocates and social workers could connect. Not to disparage this county, but there was ultimately law enforcement had tried to get in contact with the social worker there for over 5 hours with no response. Very fortunate to say we don't have that here in our county, but that's what was occurring. Because of the joint regional operations center, we were all working together to find an option. One of our nonprofit partners that was there, one of the nonprofit partners that was sitting with us had volunteers. One of them was a detective from Portland Police Department that knew this juvenile because that's where she was originally from. Knew her family, knew her social workers and caseworkers there. Ultimately, we were able to locate one remaining flight back to Portland, leaving San Francisco that night at like 10:30, 10:45 at night. Through some partnership with the FBI and some of our other partners, we were able to get her a ticket onto that plane where she was escorted onto the flight. And ultimately, the team of social workers and law enforcement waiting for her in Portland when she arrived. As of last week, she's still in care and custody there, or not custody, but in care there, receiving treatment. So that's a success story. Ultimately, I think Sharon was able to pull together funding from the coalition to reimburse the nonprofit partner that was with us that paid for that flight. Ultimately, some of these, I think with human trafficking, it's really important we have our protocols and we always want to follow those, but we have to be really creative and strategic, especially as it relates to juveniles and housing placement, short-term housing placement, and long-term housing placement. There's an absolute lack of housing options for them, and then a massive gap in some of our surrounding counties in response from their respective DFCS and CPS social workers.
Thank you, Lieutenant. I'm going to turn to Commissioner Flores if there's anything else you want to add.
I think that, again, the other piece is the gap of service providers. And as we think about the in the region, and I think it'll be more telling once we've identified the points of contact who really can respond. And that's one thing that's come up as a challenge as well, because our coalition sponsored, Community Solutions co-sponsored with CAST LA, the Right to a Human Trafficking Advocate bill, where survivors have a right to an advocate with in certain with follow-up interviews with law enforcement, public defenders, et cetera. And some counties just don't have that capacity. Mm-hmm. In our county, it's in our protocol, even though it's not a state law, to bring in advocates when there's any involvement with DFCS as well. And that's not something that's readily available in other counties either. So that's where it becomes a bit of a challenge as well.
Thank you for that. What I'm gleaning from the discussion here is that our systems in place did what it was supposed to do, and that that other counties are not in the same position that we are with our policies and procedures around human trafficking. I want to get clarity on the housing options, though. Absent the jurisdictional conflicts that arose from this multi-state situation, if this were a victim from our county, would we still have the same housing challenges or the placement challenges?
This is where Kim Gutierrez was the director of our human trafficking services. She could answer this better. But there are other options in our county for minors, like, for example, the Bill Wilson Center. There's other resources that we might have access to that are not readily available in other counties. But definitely can follow up with you on that, because that's not my area of expertise, so I don't want to misspeak.
Yeah, I would really appreciate a follow-up just to make sure that should this issue arise again, unfortunately, the ways of the world tell us it will arise again in terms of us encountering victims with the work that we do, that there is not a mad scramble to find a safe place, a safe haven for their survivor. Lieutenant, it seemed like you wanted to lean in.
Yeah, Supervisor, thanks. I do think that we are in a much better position here in Santa Clara County. I would say statewide, it is problematic. There's only 7 STRTPs. Those are short-term residential therapeutic programs for these CSEC kiddos. They're all massively waitlisted and challenging to get into. And oftentimes it's a 45-day entrance process to get them in. Well, trying to keep a CSEC juvenile stable for 45 to 60 days is really, and here even in our county, is really challenging. So it's a systemic issue across the state.
Yeah, thank you for that. Go ahead.
Sorry. And then in terms of longer term placement for minors in our county, I think that's probably a question that DFCS can answer better.
Yeah. And Dan's not with us today, so we'll have to continue that conversation offline. I'll turn to Deputy County Executive and Commission Member Halcone. There's been a lot of mention about lack of resources and the grant funding that's happening, the cuts and the clawbacks happening statewide. Could you, if there's any insight you could provide from administration's perspective on that?
Yeah, 2 things. I will definitely hit that point. I also want to address Perla's comments about housing. I'll just say, and this is a conversation I think Perla and I have been having for a decade now, we have limited housing for sexual assault survivors, full stop. So whether they're minors, whether they're adults, we have domestic violence shelters. We do not have fully accessible sexual assault shelter services. And I think people like Perla, like Kim, like Sharon have been really doing their best to shore up that gap for a number of years, but I think that remains to be a concern in this county. Second, to Lieutenant Singleton's point about the STRTPs, that we don't have Dan here, and certainly we can talk about that offline, but I think that remains an issue to have stable housing where we can ensure that minors are able to be safe, but also not have access to their traffickers, where we have some facilities that are not locked down where certainly minors could go. But the challenge there is, of course, we cannot keep them there unless it's a residential treatment facility. So we have other options, but they're not as good as the ones that we would have if they were more protected. To your point about the grants, this is also something that I've worked closely with some of our gender-based violence agencies on, and also with our legislative team under DCE Compost. But we've done a lot of support up at the state trying to ensure that we can get additional funding for VOCA. So VOCA funds really critical programs within our gender-based violence, but is also the primary funder of the Victim Services Unit in the District Attorney's Office as well. So it's a critical funding source for nearly every victim service that we do in this county. We are working very closely with County Council, who, as I'm sure you are aware, along with Commissioner Arenas, is doing their best to make sure that we are pushing back on some of the more heinous grant guidelines that have been placed in grants that used to fund a lot of this work, but we simply cannot agree to some of those guidelines, things that say that we will not help trans children, that we will not help LGBTQ, that we will not help immigrants, that we will report to law enforcement. So the county and our gender-based violence agencies and the Victim Services Unit and other programs are at risk because of it, because they cannot agree to some of those federal funding guidelines, which historically have been very strong funders of this work. And so it's something that we are partnering with IGR on, with David Campos, with County Council, and with our partners on to the best that we can.
Okay, thank you for that. We're suing, right?
Oh, we are suing, yes.
Okay. So my last comments are, Sharon, I know you work closely with OLSC, but if your trainings that's been provided to in our backyard hasn't been provided to our Fair Workplace Collaborative yet, I would like to see that explored because of their work with small businesses. And if you haven't been connected already, Lieutenant Singleton and Sharon, I'd like to connect you to our office can connect you to the Directors Alliance. That's a coalition of 12 small business districts that recently formed in the last 2 years. And they're the 12 small business districts that kind of orbit around the downtown area. They're going to be launching a whole host of FIFA, World Cup, watch parties, activations, and activities. And these are your corner markets. These are your local restaurants. Yes, there are also massage establishments, which I presume to be legit because they are members of the Directors Alliance and also fully invested in making sure that they have a good reputation and they're abiding by the best business practices. But I think that'll be a good connection to have there
That
to
would be
continue.
great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
As he
you.
nods, agreement. Those are it for my questions. I'm going to do one last scan here on the dais. All right, and I went out of order. I'm going to turn to our clerk to see if there's any members of the public who wish to comment on this item.
I do have one request for item 6.
Great. It'll be 2 minutes, and this will be public comment on the specific presentation made today for this item.
Thank you. Our requester is Benzie. We'll open that microphone for 2 minutes. Please go ahead.
Yes, I mean, it does sound like we have a great outreach where the coalition is doing a great job of advertising.
Are you there? I see that the microphone is still live. We're not getting any audio.
The coalition that they do provide screenings. That's something that everybody can learn from. I think that we should take that as a model for our county, that we should provide screenings when reports of abuse are made. I mean, like, I know you could report it to the CANC hotline, but I have, and nothing was done. So, I mean, the coalition is doing great work. I mean, like in my case, no investigation of any kind has ever been conducted, and I wish that we could take that example from the coalition. Thank you for your time.
And that concludes public comment.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item 7 now, our last item on our agenda, and that is to receive a verbal report from the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority relating to participation in the Safety for the Bay campaign.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Chair, members of the commission, my name is Aston Green. I'm VTA's Chief for System Safety and Security. And just want to give you a verbal update, and hopefully soon you'll see a visual reality of our support and participation with the campaign. I do want to say that you saw the substance of it a little bit with Sharon's presentation. Thank you. We continue to look forward to any opportunity we can have to partner with the South Bay Coalition. And Lieutenant Singleton, I always appreciate your comments. I think, like you, we have boots on the ground in this space, with our operators being very present in the community to see what's happening and be in a position to provide some support that can help attack this trend. And so, yes, we still, and I always make this comment, recognize that transit is often a vector for some of this, these illicit activities. You know, their recruitment grounds, their pathways. We anticipate that we'll see more of those activities, especially during the FIFA World Cup games. And to some of the earlier comments, you know, I want to say substantively that the lack of evidence and data is not evidence that there isn't evidence. And having been through many Super Bowls, I would tell you that yes, there is a lack of supporting data that you could use to say, well, it's happening, and as a result, you can justify expenses and investments and programs. Unfortunately, it's almost similar to the radicalization that we see with certain individuals for terrorism. It happens, it's unseen. You can't detect it, and that makes it challenging. So what we do is we lean into the prevention strategies. That's our training, that's our awareness programs, that's refreshing training programs, that's giving people, employees, the riding public an opportunity to, yes, use an app to be able to report some suspicious activity, especially in this space. So we're happy to continue to be partners in that endeavor. What we have done as part of the Safety for the Bay campaign, right now, actually, you've already seen it, but this is what's going to be going on our rail cars, on our buses in a specific area. In addition to that, we've promoted it internally to our staff. Our staff are required to have mandatory human trafficking training. And last year, I would say, we were really aggressive with that training, and we made it real life training. And it has been one of the most galvanizing training programs that we've had, to the point where we know that this campaign, plus the awareness that we are promoting on our internal hub, will make our operators and our employees even more inclined to report anything that they see that's out of the ordinary. So we're happy about that. The messaging also will be carried on all of our digital signage on our fleet. And so all of our social media spaces will include the same messaging campaign. So it's not just the cards that are on the vehicles, it's our social media, it's our blogs, it's our intranet. As much as we could promote it authority-wide, both internal and external, we're going to do it. And in addition to that, we stay connected with our first responder community. Obviously, as we prepare for FIFA World Cup games, part of that includes having an emergency operations center open, having a security operations center open so we can track trends, so that when we encourage persons through the campaign to use our VTA Alerts app, which actually has a reporting category called human trafficking, that there's someone on the other end of the line live that could be receptive to the complaint or what's being observed. So I'm really happy that VTA continues to lean forward in this space and that we have the partnership with those of you here, and we look forward to a successful campaign and partnership. And I'll take any questions.
Great. First, we'll turn to public comment to see if members of the public wishes to provide comment on this report.
Confirming no request to speak on item 7.
Thank you so much. So we'll close public comment, and I'll turn to my fellow commissioners for any questions, feedback. All right. Commissioner Green, thank you so much for this update. I'm happy and glad to see that VTA continues to be a partner on this front. Thank you for that. To Commissioner Danoa and Commissioner Singleton, thank you for your consistent and continued work on this. And thank you, Commissioner Flores, for being at the front, at the helm of our service providers and making sure that we close as many gaps as possible. Okay, I think that was a verbal report. No motion necessary to receive report. I will now adjourn this meeting 7 minutes ahead of schedule. Oh, shoot, you know, I'm going to stop that. Just kidding. I'm so sorry, Commissioner Doan and Vice Chair. We're going to go to Commissioner announcements. There we go.
Sorry. I just want to take an opportunity to give Sharon huge kudos. Just all the work that you're doing with, I don't know how many miles you've put on your car, but I know that you personally go to many of the focus groups with survivors. You do a lot of the outreach yourself. And I just want to stress that the coalition is basically a staff of 2, and just really just appreciate just how much heart you put into this work. And also want to thank you, Josh, for really making this space welcoming and inviting for advocates, and really appreciate just how you've brought advocates and law enforcement together and made the role of advocacy really central to the support. So just really appreciate both of you. Wanted to share that.
Thank you. Any other comments or announcements from our commissioners? This is the time for it.
I have stickers. If anybody wants stickers for Safety for the Bay, I have a big bag.
Thank you, Commissioner Danoa. I'll take you up on that offer of stickers. And with that, this meeting is adjourned to Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. Looking forward to seeing everyone at the various watch parties and maybe in a FIFA game. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.